Oh, thank you.
All right, all right. Well, welcome everybody. I am CJ Phillip, and I want to welcome you to our first Carmen Conversation. Joining me today as my co-host to this Carmen Conversation is Jackie Molina. Hello, Jackie.
Hi.
So, Carmen Conversation, where does that come from? It is actually something that we started doing as we built the musical Voices of Carmen. Jackie was a part of our original cast of Voices of Carmen. So, Jackie, I would love for you to share a little bit about what that was like for you.
Well, Voices of Carmen, as it was an original production, was something entirely new to me. I've been in productions where it's already been written, it's already been done, people have had experience in the past, and boom, just do that, do that. But with Voices of Carmen, it wasn't only like anxiety and chaotic, but it was really involving with the actors as well. Because the ideas that we were writing, rewriting, applying on stage, it connected the character to the story, but also the actors to the talented people that were involved. It was just an amazing experience.
Wow. Awesome. Well, thanks, Jackie, for sharing that. I was thinking, just so if you never heard of it, it's a musical adaptation of the opera Carmen. So that's what it's based on, and it's also set in a high school. And so, looking at that story and specifically through the lens of high school students, I knew that I needed to get a lot of input and feedback from the folks who were in high school. So we had a youth council that helped for a year before we ever started. And then throughout, I was constantly asking lots of questions and getting advice from the cast and the crew. And just to sort of look back and give you a little snippet of what we wound up putting together and debuting last year, I think Lauryn's going to show us a quick video. Are you ready? Are you? All right. So those are some excerpts, and inside of those excerpts, you'll see some of the cast members who are going to be part of the Carmen Conversation today. But Jackie, real quick, I did want to ask you. So for you coming into this production, had you done a musical before? And what was your audition process like? What was your expectation, and sort of what actually happened?
Well, yes, I've been in quite a couple musicals before. My first one I would say was Into the Woods, which was my favorite musical at the time too. And auditioning for that, it was something new again to me, but it was really fun and interesting because you get to be in a room with the director and the music producer and also with other people auditioning with you. And it's not like a competition, but it's more like you're interacting with them and then getting a feel of what you can do, talent wise. And having that nervousness that you still have, but still having brave curiosity to what could happen during the whole time of the audition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing that. We actually want to bring in a few more folks to this conversation who we know and we love, who are also part of the original cast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome some of our original cast members from Voices of Carmen, specifically our original Voices of Carmen, Carmens. Give a round of applause, round of applause, round of applause. And Jackie, we may have to have you bump out while they come in because we can only have 6 folks in at a time.
All right.
All right, we've got Ui-Seng, we've got Faith. I see.
Welcome, everybody.
Kaylin. Yes, I see Kaylin. And Jude. Welcome, welcome. Yay, we got all 4. We got Judah. All right, so you might be like, wait a minute, which one is Carmen? Will the real Carmen stand up? And I would say all 4 of these ladies stand up. Can somebody explain to them why there are 4 amazing women on this call right now? What did we do with our Carmens in the show?
Well, at different points in Carmen's story, we all portray different ones. Like we have dancers here, we got singers, and then actors. You know, I don't really do both of those too much, but it just showed different points of her life and throughout her journey, and it just showed like Carmen can be anyone. She can look like anyone. She can be anyone. You know. So it was just a way to show the diversity and the versatility of the character through different phases of her life and her story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so going off of what Kaylin said, basically the 4 of us each played.
Anybody else want to add into that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going off of what Kaylin was saying, we each played.
I can't quite hear Ui-Seng. Are we hearing her?
I can hear her.
I can hear her.
Ui-Seng, is your volume up?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe
we can hear her.
Yeah,
we can hear her.
Test 1, 2, 3.
We can hear Ui-Seng.
Okay, great. Let me know when she's done.
Yeah, going off of what Kaylin was saying, we each played different. We each played Carmen at a different role, kind of, or part in her life and arc in the story, from one point to the next. And for me, and I think for us, it was really a chance to, and like also Kaylin said, I was the first Carmen, and which played her story from the beginning of the story into when she meets Don Jose and gets arrested, and then Kaylin, Carmen number 2, picks up the story from there and is predominantly an actress. You know, I was dancing and Kaylin was the actress, and she picked up Carmen from when she was arrested up until like she got away, and then Faith was Carmen number 3, and then we ended with Judah, who played Carmen number 4, which brought us back into kind of the modern day time, or back into the classroom, and was the Carmen in the life or the world of the students that our production pretty much takes place in. And so yeah, we each showed and expressed Carmen and played Carmen with different disciplines, whether that be dance, singing, acting, or all 3, like Carmen number 4 does. And yeah, it was a chance for us to have multiple leading ladies and show different interpretations of the character to further the story.
Yeah, I think going off of what Ui-Seng said, I think something that was really important about not only just having 4 Carmens, but with my Carmen, specifically Carmen number 4, my story actually represented the sister of one of the students who was actually in the classroom. And I think it was really important, specifically for a Black male student, to be sharing something so sensitive and so close and near and dear to his heart. So I feel like that was a very important thing to be showing in the show. So I appreciated that very much.
I agree with everything you said.
So, thank you so much for sharing, ladies. I'm really curious for your experience, your audition experience for the show. One, what was that like? And then two, and especially because sometimes we have people who want to be a part of this conversation, and we're hoping folks are watching and thinking about questions that they might have and want to ask of you for later. But like, what's the audition process like? And then what's it like when you hear that you got that role, and how do you prepare? So it's really three questions, and feel free to answer any one, two, or three of those.
I can go first. My audition process was a little different than everyone else's because I had been on the Carmen Youth Council, kind of like advising CJ and the other artistic influencers of the show about like some creative decisions that had to be made, you know, what the environment of the like what the setting of the show was going to be like. So I was a part of the show like when it was just an idea. So it was really cool, first of all, to see it develop into what it became and what it is still becoming. So my audition process was kind of, I was sort of like, I was helping out with the auditions because I was a dance captain as well. So I went to all of the auditions around the city, and I kind of taught like a dance combo, and then you know just gave some feedback as far as you know dance technique, tips and tricks, things like that. So I honestly don't really remember when the moment was where I was like, I'm gonna be Carmen number three. It was just kind of like car number three. Like I was super excited about it, but I don't honestly remember because I was a part of this production like since it was like I said, just an idea. So I don't really know when that moment was, but yeah, my audition process was honestly really awesome because I got to see everyone who auditioned. I got to go to every audition, so that was really amazing to see as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for anybody who doesn't know, we held auditions in 4 or 5 different locations: North, South, Central, East, West, Baltimore, so that we could have the most diverse crowd of talent to be able to choose from. And we wound up having people representing 20 different schools and 19 different zip codes as a part of this cast. Kaylin, go ahead. We'd love to hear
I was just gonna say, like, going off of what Faith was saying, when I was at the auditions, okay, one, I'm not really a singer or a dancer. That's not really my thing. This was like my first full-length musical. Don't have any experience with that. But I remember being at auditions and seeing Faith, and I was like, wow.
Oh.
So talented, and we're like, she has to have some role in here somewhere. So when I found out you were Carmen number three, I was like, yep, that makes sense. But it
Oh,
was,
thank you.
thank you for that. It was just a room full of so many talented people, and I was just so happy that I was able to, and I was with Ui-Seng too. I was like, she's getting the role. I was like, everyone here is so talented. So honestly, I was like, okay, I feel good about it, but I'm not gonna expect too much because it's too much talent. You know, it's like really healthy, beautiful competition. That's like you're not mad at anybody. It's just like you know who gets it gets it. And then I was like, oh, I'm a Carmen. And I happened to come to the audition kind of like on a whim, like that day was the day I heard about it. And my friend was like, I'm going, you want to come with? And I was like, yeah, sure. So that was just a really cool experience, and it was really fun. And yeah, I was in college too. I was at Bowie State. I was like, wow, everybody's younger. It was high schoolers. They were just so good. I was like, whew.
So Kaylin, I have to tell you this. So at the audition, like each of you are so unique and so incredibly talented and special in your own way. And I specifically remember the energy and the humor, Kaylin, that you brought. And that in the midst of, I could tell you were like, well, I'm not a dancer, but
I'm gonna get
I can
down.
submit. And so you were so much fun to watch, like more so than dancers. I was like,
Yep.
well, that's nice, her kick is high, but this one over here is giving me life. And she is doing incredible stuff that just making me like my eyes are wanting to just be drawn to her. So that was one thing. And then there was this one moment that actually in the audition process changed your role. Because oftentimes when people are auditioning, they don't realize what you're bringing is actually something that gives the director an idea of how to utilize you based on the talents that you bring. And it can be the smallest thing. And it was such a small thing, but it was when we were all singing He's Coming. And we had to focus and circle He's coming and he's looking for you. You can't hide it. And so we did it in like groups, big group. Then we broke it down in groups of 4. And I remember the level of intensity in your eyes and the focus and the, you know who you were, the groundedness, like it gave me chills. And I thought, she doesn't know this piece, she doesn't know this song, but she made a choice and it was strong and I believed it. So that was just really powerful for me in that audition process. And I love telling people afterwards what I saw in them. I remember a director that I worked with who I was like, my first New York audition, it was crazy. And then later when I got the job, we were having drinks and just talking about what he saw in my audition process. And it really helped me to know what my strengths were. So I just wanted to give you that and that you know that you make a commitment that is just really captivating and stands out far beyond training and ability.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kaylin. I love that.
Anybody else want to share about either learning that you got the role or your audition process or way that you approached the role? Yes, Judy.
I'm gonna go. Okay, so as y'all probably know, like I came into this show on like kind of the tail end of literally everything. And I only heard about it because my friend Christian reached out to me and was like, hey, send me a video of you singing from Memphis. And I was like, okay. And then next thing I know, like the next day, I had an email from CJ like, hey, I want to hire you to be in my show over the summer. I'm like, pay for acting and dancing and doing stuff that I love. Okay. Like, and she was like, can you come in and audition this weekend? I said, yep. And I auditioned in that, in the Dance and Be More office, actually. And I remember, I believe it was Mitch who was there, who played Don Jose #1, if I'm right. And we just auditioned with each other. We got like the energy that we just like got a feel of the energy that we gave each other. And it was like really fun to see. And I learned a dance combo. And I remember I didn't know what song to sing. And my dad was just like, sing Amazing Grace, sing this, sing that, sing this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just give you a belt and then I'm gonna sing something else. And if she like it, she like it. If she don't, God bless. I came, right? And I got an email at like, I think I finished my audition at 6:00. And I got home and by 7:45 I got an email like, hey, do you want the role? I was like, yes. So I think like for me it was very quick but very fulfilling. And just being like told that someone thought I was good enough to hire to do something that I loved was a big confidence booster, and also the reason why I'm going to school for musical theater in the fall. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Judah. I want to change gears a little bit. I want to bring y'all back to the first time the 4 of you met together. We were having what I call our very first Carmen conversation to start talking about how you were going to build this role. And one of the things that I shared with you were images on the internet of Carmen when we just sort of did a Google search.
Yeah.
I also shared with you that the novella was originally written by Prosper Mérimée in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
that in my own research, I noticed that male director, and so I was just sharing that with you and getting your thoughts and your feedback. And I wonder if anybody can sort of recall some of the things that we brought up in that original Carmen conversation.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. It was, I think, one of the first times that the 4 of us, like had the chance to come together, I think. And then so it was great getting to meet all of the different parts of the whole, of Carmen. And I remember having these conversations and viewing these pictures of, different interpretations of the show, and talking about how a lot of the time it was told kind of like from like the male's perspective, like about this woman, and then so kind of how it would be for us, like all as women, to take on this role, and especially because we're going through and telling through all those different mediums. So I remember talking about kind of just our experiences as women, and just like discussing like who we think, without, just given the text, like who we believe that she is. I think was a really our own points of view and experience. I thought that was a really good conversation to kind of dismantle all of those previous uh, interpretations that may have been kind of just like think of Carmen. And also, I think it's a really great chance to hear other people's point of views on who Carmen is, so that we can work together and connect, and make it a cohesive thing. Like Kaylin kind of suggested a little earlier, like how can we make this cohesive since we're each playing the same role though at different times. So.
I think I really remember us looking at like Google image photos of Carmen in like ballets and productions and movies and things like that. And it was a lot of really fierce images. She's very powerful. She definitely knows what she wants. Like she's super confident. And so that was really cool to see, but also not just trying to figure out how to portray a confident dancer, because that's relatively easy, but I also had the challenge of being in Carmen's role of being heartbroken over Don Jose, which never really happened to her before. Like she never really let herself get emotionally attached like that. But with Don Jose, after he left, she was really, really feeling down about it. She was really feeling heartbroken. And so it was kind of interesting for me to kind of see who Carmen is in other productions, like this really confident, really fierce character, and taking that into what she really like when she gets her heart broken. And then, and also her friendships with Frosquita and Mercedes, those are really interesting to explore too, because that shows an even deeper side of her, not just, this independent, strong woman. She needs her friends sometimes. We all do. We all need other people sometimes. So I think unpacking those different dimensions and layers of Carmen was really tough at first. But we got through it. You guys all helped me with that so much. So thank you for that. But yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation. That really helped me to understand who Carmen was.
I would say I agree with that. Like, with the helping know who Carmen was, because I wasn't very familiar with the Carmen opera or anything like that. Like, I was supposed to go one time in 4th grade, didn't work out. So
We have heard this story so many times.
But so just getting to know who the character was, like in the normal context, and then trying to dig deeper, peel back the onion layers, was a really interesting process. And then I realized I did relate to her in a lot of aspects, especially like where I was in that point in my life where it's like people see you as one thing and they don't realize there's all these layers here. And it's like to try to make sure a character isn't seen as just like this symbol, this object is, I feel, very important with like anything, any kind of creation, like with music, with dancing, with acting, with even just writing. So I think that really helped us get the point across. And then also like we got to meet each other and get to know each other. And I was like, oh, these girls are so cool and they're sweet and they're so pretty. Oh, this is gonna be fun. So it was a good chance to like get everyone together and like we should say be cohesive.
I don't have this because y'all basically already said what I wanted to say.
So much,
but
I really appreciate the
sorry.
layers and trying to be a whole person. Oh no, was somebody else talking?
Yeah, I was about. It's quick. But the biggest thing that I remembered was the red dress. that we saw in every single photo. But that's it.
Yeah. Well, and that was something that I noticed. There were choices that I saw characters of Carmen making that I thought, would I make that choice? Do I know any woman who would make that choice? And some of the things were so far from the story itself, and it became this Carmen almost being a cautionary tale for young boys of what might happen if you do what Don Jose did, as opposed to her being a person in of herself. That the fact that she knew she had a power about her, that she had a strength and a way of entering a room that everyone would pay attention to her, that she had ambition, that she had dreams and drive, that if she had the same sort of abilities that she had as a man, perhaps she would be the CEO of a company. But because she was a woman in a certain time and a period, there were only certain amount of expectations of what she could do with the power that she had. And so being able to not have Carmen just be sort of a pinup and a version of a woman on a wall, but someone who has friendships, someone who has heartbreak, someone who has a brother and a mom and issues in their family, someone who has dreams and ambitions, and it's doesn't want anybody to hold her back from what she wants to do, has a conviction of her own that she wants to live out. Like, there was just so much more to excavate, and I'm so grateful for all of you, because you did such tremendous work. Your backstory, writing out who you were, letters to Don Jose so that it felt like it was coming from you, to really put flesh and bones and a personhood on top of this character, that I was discovering through you. So that to me was a sort of a gift that you gave to playing this role. And it's an amazing template, but it also becomes a stepping point for someone else to step into the role. And so sort of as we make this transition, Jackie, I know we've got some folks waiting in the background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them, and then I'm going to get out of the way.
Well, for those people listening in the back, we have some more questions for our Carmens, our original Carmens, so they can, hear and listen and reflect on that. So basically, when you found out that you were Carmen, how did you approach the process of creating your character, both individually or with each other collectively?
I'll go first. Oh, Rishay, you got it.
Oh yeah, I mean, so for me personally, like one of the first steps is always to go to the text first, see what you're working with, because that's what you're bringing to life. And so after seeing the text and seeing the Carmen, starting to figure out kind of like what she wants, what is her drive, like what drives her, what are her intentions, and then why does she want to do these things, and starting to humanize her in that way. And from there, really breaking down all these other things about creating the backstory of like how some things, just simple as, how old she is, and, where she's from, what is her family like, what does she do? What does a day look like in her life? And from there, I think I started to connect that to my own life, so that I can kind of, be more successful in playing her and making it truthful and honest, and really believing in her, and then so pulling things from the text along with from my life, and then asking questions.
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Galen.
Oh, go ahead. I was saying I'd say the same thing.
Okay, yeah. I definitely agree with what Ui-Seng said. I think that, well, I didn't really have any lines. I did look at the script a lot, and it's really important, even if you don't have any direct lines, to really understand the script in order to understand your character. But I think for Carmen number 3, at least for me unpacking who she was, it was really important for me to look at Carmen Blue, the song, to look at the lyrics, the backstory, like kind of unpacking Carmen Blue, because that's like the main song of Carmen number 3. That's like her big dance moment. That's like when she's going through the arc of being like super heartbroken, and then her friends cheering her up. So I think for me, it was really important to understand the song Carmen Blue, as well as understanding the choreography, because I worked with CJ on the choreography for that. Like, that was like one of the first numbers we worked on. So I had a lot of time to kind of unpack what that number was. And that really helped me. And then after, I kind of understood that number, I did basically what Ui-Seng said. I thought about not only what she was doing, but why she was doing it. And I tried to connect her story to some experiences I've had, which makes it a lot easier to relate to your character. So yeah, I think, and also after I looked at Carmen Blue, I had to look at Say Goodbye, because that was another number that I had to act through. So yeah, just really understanding, like, if you have like your song for your Carmen, make sure you really understand the song, you understand what it's about, and then how you can portray that in your dancing, your singing, your acting. So yeah, that was really important for me.
That's really good. So now, as we said before, we do have some folks in the back right now that have been listening who will be playing these roles in 2020.
I cannot hear Jackie at all.
Can you hear me now? No?
I'll type out what she's saying.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, because I can't.
yeah, so the people in the back right now who are listening will be playing these roles in 2020, and I'd like to welcome them onto here. So I'd like to welcome Lauryn, Zuri, and Andrea.
Hi.
Hi, Lauryn.
Oh, there can only be 6 of us.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
That's good. We're having
Hello. So we should have Ui-Seng and Faith. You're going to go backstage for us while we have our new Carmens on stage. And Jackie, you'll stay out here with me as well. Hello, Lauryn. Hello, Zuri. So you guys have gotten an earful from our Carmens. What are your takeaways? What are some things that you want to I want to remember that as I approach. So for anybody who's watching, we just got finished talking with our Carmens from the original cast, and they were 2019. And Lauryn and Zuri and Andrea are playing our Carmens for 2020. And we've got some different things going on, but I'm really curious. I love when we get to hear from each other and learn from each other. What do you want holding on to? What do you want to remember from what the first Carmen shared today?
I'm sorry.
Hey, ladies, can you hear me?
Is Lauryn talking? Because she's frozen.
Zuri, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just, is Lauryn frozen or?
yeah.
Let's see how we're doing here.
Did you want to say something, Zuri?
Sure. So I heard them talking about how they connect themselves to Carmen so that they can play their roles, and how
hear?
they.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry.
Okay, good. So, yeah, what are your takeaways from what our original Carmens had to share today about playing that role that you're about to step into?
So they were talking about how they connect themselves to the Carmen character so they can play the role, and how Ui-Seng said that how she would try to connect herself and ask questions so then she can get a background story, but then also find similarities so then she can play her character well. And I'm gonna remember that, and I'm going to try to connect myself more to Carmen so that I can give a more believable performance, and also be able to, I guess, just to have more of an understanding of Carmen. So
Yeah. So definitely some work to do out in front there. I wonder if we get Lauryn back. So Zuri, what Carmen are you portraying?
Carmen number 3.
Yeah. So you're in this position where you're in a moment where Carmen actually has feelings for Don Jose and gets heartbroken. And something different that we did this year from last year is last year we had 4 Carmens. This year we have 3 Carmens because we have Lauryn playing both Carmen 1 and 2. So that's combined. The thing that I love about the show is that you can really craft it around the talent and the people that show up at the audition. The first year, Ui-Seng is such a phenomenal actress and dancer that was the version of Carmen 1 that came forward. Kaylin is a tremendous actress. And so, you know, she had the heavy part of the scene work. Well, once we met Lauryn at the audition, we were like, wow, Lauryn's an incredible actress. She's such a standout and a star. I love this. And then we started singing through some things. And I was like, what? I was like, Lauryn has a tremendous voice, like just an immense talent. Hadn't sung opera before, an aria or anything like that. And so we just tested a little bit of that, and it just became clear that this was within her capacity. And I don't know that, and I'm curious, Lauryn, what do you think about when we said, and this is for Lauryn and Zuri, when you knew that you were cast, and then we also told you that you'll be singing the role of Carmen, and then also, and which is the habanera song, and then also acting the scene work for Carmen too. What were your thoughts, Lauryn?
Sorry, the lighting is going crazy. Everything's going crazy, but my thoughts, I was kind of shocked because when I was auditioning, I didn't even know that I was going to even get a main role. That wasn't nowhere in my mind. So when I got the email that I had Carmen 1, I was kind of shocked because I was like, not only am I a Carmen, I'm Carmen 1. So that was really crazy. And then I got another email that I'm playing Carmen 2 as well. And I was like, mm-hmm. I don't know. I was just like, I'm excited. And yeah, that's one, I don't know. That's one thing. No, it shut it off.
Okay. What are your takeaways from what?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Lauryn?
Yes.
What the other Carmen shared today?
What I got from it was that they all seem to be very spiritually connected with the character, each of them, and they say how they are so connected with the character and how their process was getting connected with the character, and that really stuck to me because that's what
All
I
right,
like
we're
to.
gonna go ahead and move on to the next question. It doesn't seem like you can quite hear.
Oh.
both groups to see if we can get a little bit of conversation between the two groups of Carmens. So there are different challenges with each show. Any show that you put on, doing and focus. And so with a brand new show, you've got new scripts, new songs. It's sort of there's changes every day, even when the show is audience, so that you can then make more changes, right? So that's really exciting, but it also can be a little stressful. But now for 2020, we've got, because of social distancing, a virtual version of the rehearsal process performance itself, which can be. The question is, for the Carmens coming in 2020, what questions do you have for your predecessors about their process, and then vice versa? So Zuri and Lauryn, what questions do you have? You can type them in or you can share them, and then we'll switch to the other ladies and have them share their response.
I'm just gonna type it.
I guess I'll just say my question out loud. So, I know that the other cast, they were able to have live performances, and unfortunately for us this year, we won't be able to have live performances, and we'll be having a video instead. But what I'm kind of scared about is how I feel like I won't give a strong performance in a video than I would in a live performance. And I guess I just want to ask like how they would go about it and like how they would overcome that. So,
okay, great. That's a great question, Zuri. That's a real concern, and being an artist, being a performer, it's not all peaches and creams. There are real concerns that we have to address and figure out how to problem solve. So, Lauryn, if you wouldn't mind switching our original Carmens in, and I know Lauryn is typing her question, and maybe they can answer Zuri's question.
Hello again.
So what is your guys' take on that question?
Anybody like to go first?
I'm gonna go. Okay. So I mean, personally, I'm a big like perfectionist just with me, like as an actress, as a singer, as a dancer, like even if I'm like with this role of Carmen, like we had 4 Carmens, but I was very much kind of introverted about the role because I was worrying about making sure that I was on my A game no matter what. So I think that the biggest thing for this and overcoming this obstacle of having this be a video and virtual versus being live and like getting the audience's energy, I think the biggest thing would probably just be making sure that you're like constantly rehearsing and immersing yourself in the text, immersing yourself in the show, making sure that you're very familiar with this character and making sure that no matter who's around, and whether that be like you're talking to a screen, you're talking to a camera, or if you were talking to an audience, that character has to come across genuinely no matter who's in the room and what energy you're getting. So I think being settled in your character and knowing exactly what you're doing and being able to sit in that character comfortably will probably be a very big help in this transition.
Yeah. And then I'll not piggyback, but I'm gonna jump on that one. Where it's like I do agree. It's like no matter, especially how times are now, you don't know when things are gonna fully go back to normal. So it's really something you have to get used to. So it's like if you maybe you can start rehearsing with friends in front of a screen, just get used to it, get their feedback, or even record yourself acting and then watch it back to see how you look on camera, things you could do differently. I will say it's very different from how we did it because I do feel that
Nice. Good advice.
Thank you. We got this cohesiveness and this closeness because like we watched each other rehearse. So it was kind of like we kind of saw how each other flow through the different roles and how we can like fit in even if we weren't doing it like consciously. So I think still try to if you can do it on your own, like get the other Carmens, you know, and just Carmen it up, rehearse together, see each other, like watch each other play. And I also think it's very important to, well, at least for Carmen number 2, hey Lauryn, what's up, girl? To get close with your Don Jose, because like being comfortable enough to like be able to go back and forth like that and play the role you're playing is like, it's going to help if you have a certain comfort level with him, but then also with other Carmen. So try to find a way to do those rehearsals separately, even if you like, you know, can't do it in person, I guess.
Yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying as far as getting close to your Don Jose's. I think that's a really important thing for all of the Carmens, but especially for Carmen number 3, I would say really get to know your Fresquita and Mercedes, because they are your best friends and they have to look like your best friends when you're performing. So make sure you guys like really have good chemistry, like spend plenty of time rehearsing together. It's gonna be more of a challenge because a big part of that number is you're feeding off of each other, and the whole reason that Carmen ends up feeling better is because she's feeding off of her friend's energy. So I think just kind of imagining that they're there with you is going to be a big help, and really making sure that you know your Frostweed and Mercedes, your best friends, making sure that you guys are like, you actually feel like best friends in real life too, is really, really important. And honestly, I really wish I could tell you, like, do this and it'll be just like you're in a live audience. But I don't know. I've never been in this situation. I don't think any of us have. So this is a really interesting thing to have to fight through. But definitely get close with your cast. Talk to them about what you're struggling with. Talk to them about, you know, like, how am I supposed to make this feel like it's live? And yeah, kind of get their opinions on that as well, because I think you guys can really help each other out since you're all in the same situation. But yeah, definitely being close to your cast is really important.
Yeah, and I think definitely going off of what everyone was saying is that I know it can be hard, especially if we love to perform and be in front of a live audience, to kind of like, you know, this time not have that. But I also think though it's like a really great opportunity to get creative, you know, like being creative, like we
Yeah.
have this space, like we have this box, like we're in this virtual space, this is what we have. So, you know, what can we do with that? And honestly, like, it's exciting because like what we did last year for me, the same reason why I was so excited, like this is something we haven't done before, you know, like I've never been in a show where we were singing opera and rapping at the same time. And you know, having different leads, you know, having different actors playing the same role, it's like all new innovative things, which is what art is all about. So I'm really excited, and I think that kind of going into it, you know, I think that the work is going to be the same, like still all of the work that you need to do, character development, with, you know, your acting is all the same, but then there's more because now we're in this space and it'll be different, but I think it can be really fun too. Like even like, you know, observing the space here and like, if I don't know, I can't see who's, you know, which way, but you know, how can we interact with people having this scene, you know, looking at them in different ways, like it'll be different. But I think it's super exciting. And then you all have the chance to kind of bring that to life and kind of set the bar for that. And who knows, I think it'll be super awesome. And, you know, film and television is also, you know, a part of the arts. And so it'll kind of be a little twist take on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, just jumping off of that, there's so much of theater, and especially Broadway right now, that is using film and television. Ui-Seng, you are also in West Side Story on Broadway. And I got to see that production opening night. And the use of film was just, it made for such a different experience. It was like watching a movie musical and a live musical simultaneously, and all of those senses were crisscrossing and engaging in ways that they hadn't for me before in a live production. I'd seen a lot of projection, but as far as it really having a sense and a feel of a film, I felt like it was really groundbreaking and creative. And in the same, so I would love for you to share a little bit about that. But I think also I appreciate what you said, Ui-Seng. This is an opportunity. You know, one of the things we want to do with this show is make it available to high schools, education programs, colleges, all throughout the country to be able to have a production like this have a tremendous amount of leading women roles in a show where you're not just all sort of scrambling for these two little ingenues. And and that's a whole nother conversation. And also to be able to have this kind of community dialogue around conflicts, how they arise, how they escalate, how they turn into intimate partner abuse, and to be able to have a virtual video production like this as available to people in case social distancing is necessary. And part of my heart for this is I can imagine how devastating it was for people who were planning their spring musical this year and had their shows ready, did their costumes, their rehearsals, night, day, learned all those lines, y'all, all those songs and them kickball changes, and then it gets shut down. I mean, I would have been like, like, it would have been so devastating. And I thought this could be that opportunity. Yes, you can license Voices of Carmen, but at no extra charge. If you got a social distance, there's this version that we did summer of 2020, and this cast gets to lay the groundwork for what that virtual production looks like and can be, so you don't have to cancel your show. The show can still go on. So that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna shut up.
Basically going off of that, like in West Side, like we did have a lot of like the screen incorporated and film incorporated with the live theater. And I think like what you, Miss CJ, just said is like the show must go on. And I think that this really is a groundbreaking work of like, okay, you know, as artists, what can we do like in this time? And I remember speaking about Miss CJ about that as well. And you know, one of the things, at least in West Side, that we kind of got feedback on that they liked about having the screen is that, you know, you could see, you know, sometimes from a stage, depending on where you're sitting in the audience, you can't necessarily see the details of the face. So I think that that's another thing that we'll be able to have in our advantage. You know, we're right here, you know, you can see the emotion, you can see that. And also like it's, you know, in this virtual space and time, like it's so accessible, you know, it's like, you know, people, it makes the show more accessible for, I think, the artists, the performers, and for the audience, you know, because now we can kind of like, I know we did Voices of Carmen in Atlanta as well. So now it's like, hold up, we can have the, you know, we can have a show, a cohesive show with people from all over the world if we wanted to, you know, so I feel like it's a lot to grow from here. And yeah, and it's definitely going to be, I think, you know, can be a really great example of, you know, for others as well, you know, to do something similar.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you, ladies. So I want to give us, I know we're getting ready to wrap up. I would love for y'all to ask any questions that you have for our new Carmens coming in, so that they can answer a question or two of yours, and then we'll take 1 or 2 questions from our audience and wrap up our conversation.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Well, I had a question. So you guys are coming in with the show like fully done, right? Because we were doing like a lot of like the workshopping of it. So how has it been like having the full show together and then also still being able to relate to your castmates and your cast, especially doing it like virtually? Like how do you all like make those relationships with each other, and have you all met each other?
We have met each other. I mean, I don't think we've really like had time to like really talk to each other than being in the audition room. But for me, I met a few people. I met my best friends. I don't exactly know who my Don Jose is yet, but I do have my best friends, and we have a group chat where we talk to each other and stuff like that. And that's just how we stay connected to each other right now, until I meet everybody else. So.
Yeah, as for me, I haven't talked to any other castmates since the audition process and it's just to be more healthy, be more event, which sucks because now Corona, I it just took away the experience of meeting my other castmates, which just really sucks. But I know we're gonna make it work though, so it's all right.
Yeah, and I have a question. Like, what do you I guess like what is your take on Carmen like so far? You know, like just knowing about like what do you know about her? What is interesting about her? Like what are you excited about to kind of like dive into?
I have to sing French, which I never done before. I never sung French before, nor even spoke it. So it's kind of like it kind of made me feel a little spicy though, because like I get to sing another language, which is really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just playing Carmen and I guess just trying something new because I've never done anything like this before. I've never done a musical, never done anything that had to do with musical theater. This is my first time doing all of this, and I'm excited to learn about. I don't know, just to have experience in it and see where it goes and see if I'll be interested in doing it in the future.
Okay. I have a question. So, a very like big part of this show is talking about conflict, as Miss CJ said, and how that can escalate into intimate partner abuse. So, one, it's kind of a two-sided question. One, like I don't exactly know how to phrase this, but are you working on educating yourself about like this topic before you really dive into this show? And if so, like how are you going to start doing that? Because I think learning about like these topics before we really dove into them as characters and as people and as actors, actresses, whatever, was really important for me. So like, are you guys looking for resources or like what's up?
I personally haven't done. I haven't been touching up on it as much as I probably could have. But now that we are talking about it now, I will definitely do that, and I will try to educate myself the best that I can. Maybe just by just looking around on the internet or probably talking to other people who have probably been through the experience before. Just so I can get a better understanding of it. Because I haven't personally been through something like that, so I don't really know much about that topic.
Yeah, like Zuri said, it's like it's important to like get other people's input and other people's stories and try to mix it all together, and so you can know what you can do and like how can you put, because somebody can be watching the show and be like, oh yeah, I went through the same thing that she's going through. So it kind of gives a message that other people can understand if you give people, if you have people give you the message of what you can understand as well.
Yes. Another question. Are you guys going to be doing any like workshops and stuff while you guys are doing rehearsals? Because when we were doing it, it was like a whole kind of, I wouldn't want to say summer camp, but like it was very like informative and they're
Basically.
doing workshops. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different workshops about how like to deal with conflict resolution and what was it called? I loved it. The statements, how to have conversations,
Oh,
Oh,
effective
affirmations?
effective,
affective
but not an E,
statement.
A with an A.
Right.
Affective conversations and communications and things like that. And it was really helpful to like learn those things and then like put it to the character and like ways you can fix it. And then also talking to the community afterwards. We always have community conversations like with the audience and stuff afterward. So those are cool things to learn. And also it helps you in your real life. So do you guys know if you guys are having any of those workshops? And if not, I suggest to look it up. at least effective communication, not effective. It's like with an A, because that really helps in your life in every situation.
With an
With an A.
We've talked about having workshops before, but I think that was before the whole quarantine thing. So hopefully we do get to do that because it does sound really interesting. But for now, we're kind of like just going with the flow. I'm not exactly sure what we're doing, but we'll get information.
Making it work. Making it work.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great to hearing your guys' questions and talking about. We also do have questions from our audience as well. Maybe you can have
Ooh.
your insight on those too. So we have a question asking, the show must go on. How has this unfortunate time affected your creativity and helped you move the show along? Because this is an entirely new environment from what was happening last year in the summer and then this year without any type of warning to what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I,
a really interesting
mhm. I think that's connected to kind of like what I mentioned like a bit earlier about kind of like we have like this new environment now and kind of like what you were saying or what the comment was saying like how it's affecting our creativity. I don't know. Maybe I should have talked because I'm not going to be performing. I don't know. Like earlier, so I wonder how like Zuri and Lauryn, like how do you think
Yeah.
you can be like creative with that then?
I mean, it's just gonna force us to try new things because it kind of just came out of nowhere. So we kind of have to just like keep going and try to figure out new things and how to just get through it and new things that we can try in order to make this video performance the best performance that we can make it. And I guess I don't know, just thinking about with their role and how you can try new things with their role maybe, and I don't know, just like you just have, it's like it came out of nowhere and we're just trying to just to try, I don't know how to, I'm trying to say something. I'm sorry. It's just gonna force us to be creative, pretty much. Is what I'm trying to say.
Fair.
And it'll just come to us. Really.
I think because since the world is on pause, it can kind of give us like a moment to pause and think of what we should do with our characters and what we can do with our characters. So that's a lot to also think about. But other than that, yeah, I think it's kind of like we can also go go with the flow as well while you're trying to think about it at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
we're talking about, we had those workshops. We will be having 3 of them. Well, 3 are planned for this summer, where the program starts on July 13th. So hopefully we could do some sort of version or mutated way of doing this type of stuff. And we have another question. How did Voices of Carmen help you with other auditions and shows? As in the experience that you've gone through or any feedback?
I'll say it allowed me to feel more comfortable being myself in auditions. Because like Miss TJ was saying earlier, like I can't really dance. I was getting it, and I was like, I don't know if they think I'm silly. I don't know if it is working, but I'm gonna do me and have as much fun as possible. And it landed me the part. So I'm like, okay, then it's good to be myself when I go places. And then on top of that, she gave a lot of like lessons of like what people are looking for in auditions, like people who are encouraging others or go out their way to help people. Cause like, okay, I want that on my cast. And also not to take it personally if you do experience rejection. She was saying how her directors not pick people because they weren't the right shoe size. So it's like to not take those certain things as personal blows to you or your talent or your capabilities, but you just may not fit the role or the vision that they saw. Like your hair's a little too long, a little too short. So, but then also like finding yourself and try to find ways to do better. But be yourself because it turns out pretty well. You'll get what's meant for you.
I think for me, what was really interesting about the Carmen auditions was that the auditions were almost more of an audition workshop. Like as we were going through the audition process, she would kind of say, "Okay, wait, pause. In this situation in an audition, you'd want to do this or that, or it's a good idea to have this ready or whatever." So it was really interesting for me to kind of like learn about what's going on in the director's mind because as an actor, singer, dancer, that's something that you kind of have to be in tune with. So I think auditions after Voices of Carmen, especially since I got to go to all 5 auditions, I really got to learn about the process and what the directors are looking for. So that kind of has changed the way I approach auditions. One of the big pieces of advice that stuck out to me was to have an open mind and to just, even if you know you're not the best at something, just go for it. Don't be embarrassed. Because the directors are looking for someone who's willing to learn and who's willing to give it their effort, even if they don't necessarily think they're the best at it. So yeah, it was more of like an audition workshop, which was really, really helpful to me. So yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing all of your insights during this time. We're going to finish out with a game. So I hope you're ready and you brought your thoughts. It's a question game, and we call it the 8-count questions. So I'm going to give you a topic, and then you're going to answer do, don't, would, won't. And I'll help you with this. Wish, miss,
All right.
bliss, kiss. Okay? So, for example, if my topic is things you can eat, things I do eat, I love, we've been baking a lot because of quarantine, so I do eat baked goods and ice cream. I love ice cream. I don't do like sardines. I don't eat sardines. I would try anything new, so I would try at least something once. I won't do things that are alive. I will not eat something that is alive. I wish I could go to Paris and eat some like delicious Parisian food, cheese and wine and stuff. I miss going out to like restaurants and like sitting in a restaurant. A bliss for me is just like some real good ice cream on a Saturday night. I love it. And an ish, like something is like, it's okay. Leftovers are okay. There's that. So, would anyone like to go and try this?
And it's with food.
We can do food. Yeah, let's do food.
Okay.
Kaylin, you want to go?
Okay. The first one's do, right?
Yeah. What are your do's for food?
Okay. I do like most red meats. What's the other one? Don't?
Don'ts. Do don'ts.
I don't like any kind of squash.
Huh. Okay.
Like none of that. Do, don't, won't.
Would, won't.
Okay. I would also try anything one time, just to see what it's like. I wouldn't also do anything alive. I can't even catch fish and eat it later. What's after that?
Wish, miss.
Wish. Okay. I wish I could go back to Fogo de Chao to give you unlimited. Haven't been there for a while. And I miss I miss the Thanksgiving ham and mac and cheese.
Ooh. Okay, and the last one, bliss and
Bliss.
ish.
Okay, my bliss is just open buffet of all my favorite foods.
So Fogo de Chao like hits all of them for you.
Right? Just and then ish, like ish.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The pickles in the store are good-ish. I make them better.
Ooh, you make your own pickles. I see
I
you.
like to take the pickles and just put a whole bunch of stuff in it, and I like let them sit.
Okay, all right. Okay, the next topic is relationships. Who would like to go? Kaylin. Relationships. Anybody dare? It could be a combination. Like we can make it a combination one. So somebody do don'ts for relationships. No, nobody has nothing.
We don't.
This one's a little hard.
I do like getting flowers.
Okay, flowers. Do get flowers. It doesn't have to be, romantic relationships. It could also be just like friendships too.
Or houseplants. I prefer houseplants.
So do houseplants.
Houseplants in a relationship. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Don't.
Oh, same me. Don't be mean to me.
Don't be mean to me. Yep. Okay, woulds, won'ts. So would in a relationship, won't in a relationship. Friendship, romantic.
Someone take over. Come on, y'all. Y'all got some friends.
Okay, I would like to be,
I'm in the
talk to you.
background cracking up, y'all.
DJ's cracking up.
Y'all like, I ain't put my business out on these streets. Lord, let's go ahead and cut the riddle game. We thank y'all so much, though. We've been here for a while. We're a little over time. I know that we got into some really great info. I feel like I learned so much about your creative processes, about your approach to what you don't know. And I think there's a lot that we can chew on and learn from each other. So I really appreciate everybody's insight and input. Jackie, thank you so much for helping us out with the questions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I love what you all share. Jackie, will you tell them the next time that they can come and join in on a conversation?
Yes, we have for our next Carmen Conversation, that would be on July 7th. Yes, with featuring the Don Jose's of Whiskey Carmen.
Yay. Oh, our boys.
So that should definitely be fun. If y'all have questions in advance you want to ask the Don Jose's, feel free to send those to us on social media or send us a little message so we can think about what kind of conversations we want to have with those gentlemen as they talk about their role as the original Don Jose's, and then give some words of advice to the incoming Don Jose's. Any last word that we can leave out on from today's time?
Watch Voices of Carmen.
I like it. Look for Voices of Carmen. We start our rehearsal process July 13th, and it has been challenging. I'm going to say, with the shutdown, with being socially distant, by now we would have had 3 workshops already, and all of that was not able to happen. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like our original Carmens, we sort of were like spoiled. We got like all of this really great stuff prior to, but a lot of what we're about to go into, I feel like what y'all shared is helping our Carmens to come to know what they can expect. And that really is going to be a transforming time. I'm super excited to have Restorative Response Baltimore come back to talk about conflict resolution, to have the House of Ruth come in and talk about intimate partner abuse among teens, to have guest artists come in and talk about arts excellence. people working on resumes, bios, job training. So it's going to be a full summer. It's going to be different, but it's going to be amazing nonetheless because we do have an amazing cast. So thank you again, everybody, for joining the conversation. I hope you join us back in July for our next Carmen Conversation as we continue this dialogue and this community of folks just chit-chatting and learning from each other. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Good luck to you too on
Bye. Yeah.